Hello and welcome to the finale of the Albany 2022 main event tournament. One of three tournaments I played this past July. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. Here are the standings. Here's the scoreboard right now. I'm in second place after my incredible swindle victory over Sid Morali last round. Um, and Max Panich is Gibsonized. We use the term Gibsonized to refer to somebody who can no longer not win first place based on their win-loss record. Sometimes you can also be Gibsonized on spread. So if it is possible for somebody to finish with the same win-loss record as you, but not win unless they beat you by over, I think, 400 points or 300 points, you can be declared pretty much the winner of the tournament and not have to face that opponent. When you're Gibsonized, when you've clinched, they pair you against the person that cannot win, the first person, the highest ranking person that cannot cash in the tournament. So these green squares, or maybe the rectangles, represent the place prizes. So they were paying out to fourth place, and Sebastian Knowles was the first player who could not cash in the event. That's kind of weird, though. I feel like Joel Horn couldn't either. Like if Joel Horn wins, yeah, that's weird. I don't know why they. Normally it should have been Joel Horn against Max Panich, I think. Maybe the tie screwed him up a little bit. But yeah, there's no way for Joel Horn to get into fourth place. So that's kind of weird. Anyways, they should have paired Max against Joel Horn, but Sebastian, they're close in standings. You don't want to pair somebody against someone who's doing really poorly, such as any of these four players, because the person winning the tournament is doing very well, and pairing them against someone who's doing really poorly, kind of immoral. Anyway, so point being, in this particular context, I need to win the last game or tie against Jason Lee to get second place, and also not lose rating in the tournament, which I think was equally important to me at the time, because I've been losing a lot of rating since the pandemic. Very sad. In any case, I get to play Jason Lee, who has a really good tournament record against me. He's already beaten me, I think, twice this tournament. And the only saving grace for me is that A, I'm going first, and B, I actually have a good record against Jason Lee in championship game scenarios where the person who wins gets a certain place and cashes. So like last game of the tournament sort of thing. So that's the only saving grace for me in this game against Jason. But as you can see, if I tie, I'd be at 14.5. Jason would be at 14, so I'd be ahead by a half game. And if I win, of course, I'll still be ahead by a half. I'd be ahead by a game and a half. Yeah, so spread isn't a factor. So yeah, let's start things off. Goodbye to the standings, and let's start the game. So I was first, as I say, and my opening rack was this, and I played Wetly. Seems like the best play. And I made this move within 42 seconds. I have some timestamps here. I'm at 24 minutes, 18 seconds when I hit my clock. And then Jason just starts completely tanking. And I'll give you guys his rack. No, that isn't it. His rack is CDIIRS blank. And so, of course, when you have a blank and many tiles to play through, it does appear like Jason's going to have to play through one of the tiles or one of the tiles on the board. you have to look a long time. You have to try and find all the bingos. Um, and the first place you're drawn to look is through this E. You want to get maybe a double double. So you might see something like dimerics, which is not valid. It's only valid without the C. So of course Jason started looking through the E after he realized quickly that it's going to be pretty much impossible to have a bingo through this W. So he started looking through the E, and he started looking and looking and looking, and he couldn't find any double doubles. And he kept looking. He's like, okay, well, I'll just play an 8-letter word. Doesn't have to be a double double. It's still the best play on the board, place on the board to play. And he just is in the tank. And when I mean in the tank, he finally made his play after 8 minutes and 11 seconds. So his first move, and Scrabble games usually last 10 plus moves each. On Jason's first move, he used around 1/3 of his entire time. And you might think that's ridiculous, that's so bad, like, why are you doing that? You need to use your time more wisely. Like, if you don't see something, just play the first thing you see. Like, you need the time for the later stages of the game. And to that I say, that is true. You need most of your time usually for the pre-endgame and sometimes endgame position of Scrabble games. But this is a very pivotal move. And missing a bingo here could be costly. Although I don't think I would have taken 8 minutes. I think I would have taken at least 5 on this move. When you have a blank, it increases your possible plays by an insane amount, and so it's normal to take more time when you have a blank. But 8 minutes 11 seconds, that's a long time. And luckily, Jason had something to think about. I had nothing to think about. I had my rack, and I was like, okay, I need an A, I need an I need, I think there was maybe another letter that I needed in a specific position so that I could bingo back. And I won't tell you my rack until you see it. But Jason finally ended up playing Carditis, which is 2 points worse than Triadics, but probably much better play because it doesn't float an S in a very nice scoring spot. And yes, I think he saw all of the bingos. He just couldn't believe that there was no bingo using this E, and there is no bingo that plays through this E, which is complete insanity. So this is definitely a turn where that's going to be a time suck for sure. And not much you can do about it, but you probably should give yourself a little bit more of a benchmark to when you have to stop looking, because 8 minutes is way too long. So naturally, Jason plays Carditis, and it gives me exactly what I want. An A in 6th position for B groans, and I play that very quickly. And start putting the time pressure on Jason. So Jason plays Banjo relatively quickly. Unfortunately, I draw a very awkward rack, but I end up playing Durham. I could play Eurus to keep the M for scoring next turn, but decided to play Durham. I think it's probably close between those two. Keeping IRR, though, not very nice. Jason plays FEUS. And at this point, I draw the Q. After playing both of my U's, I'm like, whatever, I just need to play quickly. I didn't see any reason to try inner here. I don't think I saw this play. It's a pretty cool idea, trying to set up the Q, but it gets blocked like an insane amount of the time, and then you're stuck with the Q, and you've just given your opponent way too much scoring. So I exchanged 4, keeping INR, trying to bingo next turn. Maybe the 7's lane looks pretty juicy. This S looks nice. Maybe the R and the E and furs look pretty good. So I decided I'd keep INR. You could argue that keeping something like NR or R or just IN is fine here as well. But you could also argue that make decisions quick. At this point, I have 21 minutes, 41 seconds on my clock. And after Jason makes his next move of wound or wound for 18, he has 11 minutes and 40 seconds. After only 4 moves, he has more than half the game to play still, and he's used well over half of his time. So the time pressure continues. I have this rack. I play Instead of playing Hex, I saw Hex. I decided to play Nyx in the same spot as Hex because I thought that the EHRT combination was so much more valuable than the INRT combination. Now that blocking the 7s lane, this S is pretty blocked. INRT is probably going to bingo significantly more than EHRT, but not enough to which I feel comfortable leaving INRT, because if I don't bingo with INRT next turn, I'm not going to have very great options. So I decided to take the 6-point sacrifice, which is a lot, to keep this H and allow myself better options next turn for the most part. And I really am curious to see what Asim thinks. I did not consider just dropping the X, I don't think. But that does bingo a lot. Our next turn after X says we bingo 65% of the time. So 2/3 of the time, getting a bingo down without an S or a blank, that's pretty damn good. But the 35% of the time that I don't bingo, it's kind of iffy. Because I'll only have just scored 18 points. And yeah, Hex did seem like the natural move. I just really had a nice feeling about EHRT. Playing at 1J seems to be easier with EHRT. I could make maybe a 6-tile play if I don't bingo. And yeah, the SH combination is decent. And the E, I mean, the E mainly is just such a good tile here compared to the I. And we see the difference in bingo chances with 2H Hex 42% of the time, with 2H Nyx 29% of the time. So like I said, significant drop in bingo chances. Of course, if I play Hex and draw another E, I'm pretty much in business, or even an A. Probably draw a lot of bingos with that. But I want to leave my options open. I think this is probably slightly worse. But I'm okay with this sacrifice, just to keep a leave that I can work better with and make moves that put more pressure on Jason. That's the most important thing here is if I keep INRT and I don't bingo, I'm not putting much pressure on Jason on the position, I don't think, a lot of the time. Whereas after Nyx, I can keep the scoring pressure on and the time pressure. The plays are going to be easier to find with the more balanced EHRT. So in this situation, I think, make a sacrifice. But all in all, I think that sort of sacrifice is a decent idea when you're just trying to put pressure on. And it works out marvelously. I draw into Ethereal. Other options are just not good. Halter, I did see that. Most dangerous letter in the 7th position, the E. And 10 fewer points, definitely not worth it. So Ethereal comes down. And I'm in the driver's seat. Jason thinks for a while and plays plain for 24. And now Jason is down to 7 minutes and 23 seconds after turn 6. His last 2 plays did take a lot of thought, just playing ARB and having to play plain when you have such nice spots open. Definitely had some tough racks. So my post bingo draw, those are some of the most important draws in Scrabble. What do you draw after your bingos? It's pretty nice. I play few, keeping SOK, trying to keep the scoring pressure going with the K. It's not the greatest to leave 2 O's, and the K isn't such a good tile. But I like to score, and yeah, I like to score. Keep the pressure on, keep a scoring tile. I could do something like Frau. I don't think Woken's any good here. But yeah, I think it's between Few and Frau. Let's see how they perform against each other. After Frau, I bingo more. I score more. And the difference between what I'm giving Jason for both plays doesn't seem very large at all. I think it's just 7-point difference. I'm definitely sacrificing scoring potential next turn by playing Few, but scoring a lot now, putting the pressure on, sort of making Jason think about what he's going to try and open. The K can be a very nice tile to take advantage of openings and score. And yeah, I don't know. It seems very close between the two. I just took the points. And that's one of the actual rules of thumb in Scrabble. If you're really in doubt between two plays, just take the points. It can hurt to take points, but if you don't really know what to do, just take them. And here, Jason plays veg, and I have this rack with kazoo, and there's a spot for kazoo on the board that's very high scoring, but also very dangerous. And I'm up 73 points. So this is not the sort of move I actually was happy or thrilled to make, because it opens such a humongous spot. So Jason's next play is going to be pretty obvious, no matter what he has. If he doesn't have a big score, he's going to take whatever score he can and try to bingo next turn. If he does have a big score, he's going to take it. If he has a bingo, he's going to play it. The saving grace of this move is that if Jason does have a word, maybe starting in a high point tile, a bingo even, a lot of those bingos are going to take an S. So he might decide to throw an S hook out there, but I have this S behind, and I can then hook that. So I decided to play kazoo. I'm actually curious to see how Oka's or just Oka performs in comparison to kazoo. I don't think it's going to be very close. But yeah, this sort of play is just making Jason's next play pretty easy, but it scores 46 points and keeps ST. So I ended up playing it, basically giving Jason one turn to make something happen, which he does. He plays my crams. Very nice find of 66 points, but the problem is he's going to be down by 51 points after this, and this whole spot is wide open, and I draw into a very, very nice game-ending bingo of piglets. So that's the game. Well, I'll finish the game, but yeah, game's over. I'm up 150. Jason played Yo here, I think. 23. Oh no. What did he do? DO? Yeah, DO must have been, or GO. Is it DO? I think it was DO. Jason's idea was to fish for, what was he going for? He was going for like something like, he's going for something from the Y. Yeshivot. Yeah. He told me he was going for Yeshivot. Yeshivot. So he was trying to distract me by opening this lane, but I drew the blank. Yeah, what did he? Oh no, okay. I read my handwriting now. He played id, going for Yeshivot. Again, just trying to distract me here. But I drew the blank, like I said. Not this. And I was like, okay, I could block one of these spots, but Jason is clearly like going for something here. Just like in the game I just showed against Max, where it does sort of seem like my play of OS for 2 is just a distraction or diversion. So I took a look at this Y, knew that this was an extremely high scoring potential bingo lane. And even though I'm probably winning anyway, I decided to block everything with Orgy. And if I play something like OY instead, or even just something that blocks, I'm going to put in like Koi, which blocks this lane and this lane at the same time. But you can see that after the play of Orgy, opponent's chance of bingoing is the lowest. It's at 0 right now. I wonder if Jason's going to draw into a single bingo. We have to wait for some amount of iterations before we see. Of course, Yeshivot is impossible because I have the blank, but Jason was going for it anyway. And I don't even know if there's even a bingo from this Y. I mean, I'm putting koi in there. There's like 0.31%. I guess that means there's like one bingo using the Y. I could put the entirety of the pool in there. Anyways, when I played Orgy, Jason was like, "Ah, you're too smart." But yeah, what could he even have? No, no, no. Ah, vilified. So vilified is possible after Orgy as well. Re-violate, re-elevate. Oh, I didn't know that. Let's generate some more choices. I'm looking for something on 8 row. But yeah, it doesn't exist. There is no bingo from the Y. So Orgy doesn't actually block anything else than koi would have. So I probably should have just gone with koi. But I hate G's, so excuse me. So I played Orgy. Jason played Hove for 36. And unfortunately, that gave me yet another bingo, not Indostia. But detonate, I mean, there are a bunch of bingos here. I guess I should run championship player, but before that, let me save the game. Because we had Quackle crash on me recently, so I'm remembering to save my progress. But yeah, the issue here is the Q. So I think I do want to bingo, but if I draw the Q, I think I'm stuck with it no matter what I do. Because even if I draw QI, there's the QIS spot and the QI spot here after detonate, but he can block both of those spots with something like TEL. So maybe nematode, same problem. So there isn't actually a bingo that allows QI to play, I don't think, if I draw it. But if I don't draw the I, I mean, I'm just boned as well. Yeah. So yeah, the issue here is drawing the Q. That's why championship player is taking forever. But I can analyze faster than championship player can probably not even analyze properly. If I draw QI, Jason can block with TELA or something. After nematode, yeah, there's no issues there either. So I think nematode and detonate are pretty much equal. I play detonate. Jason had the Q, luckily. And NIL, like it's still working. What a funny thing. Where did I play NIL? I think I drew IL. AEI QTT. Yeah, what are you talking about, Quackle? I think this is Jason's rack and my rack. He plays cats. I go out with Nil. I could have gone out with Lee, Jason's last name, just to troll him, but the win was enough for me. No need to resort to such antics. So I played Nil for 5, same score. And just kidding. During the game, I was like, oh, should I play Lee to go out? I coffee housed him, of course. Anyways, but I had to play Nil. You don't have to know that. I'm protecting the community. Except I didn't. So yeah, I won the game 5-10 to 345. Nice victory to seal things off and get myself into second place in the tournament with a small ratings gain. Still not happy that I didn't make it back to 2000 this tournament. And overall, I felt my performance was shaky at best. I definitely psyched myself out a ton and had a lot of bad games, especially games where I missed opening bingos. I'm looking at you, Annette, and I'm looking at you, Joel Horn. I don't know what it is that you're doing, what mojo that's causing me to miss bingos on you, but keep it up or don't. Anyways, it's just me missing bingos. So yeah, 15 and 8 plus 1077. I came in as the first seed. I wanted to win, but Max was too powerful. He was too strong. I felt like I played my best against Max, but in 2 of the 3 games, I made a couple of small but pivotal mistakes. And the third game, I made arguably way worse mistakes, but ended up winning anyway. That's just how Scrabble works. Mark Pistolesi comes in third place with 14-9 -2. It's always fun to have somebody with minus spread on the podium. And Jason, with this tie, managed to hang on to fourth place, which he would have done anyway, because if Zach won, then Mark would have been behind Jason. Sid unfortunately continued to crash and lost his last game to Lou, which wouldn't have mattered anyway. He was out. Yeah, the 2 games that he blew were pretty horrible, and I don't wish that upon anybody. But he bounced back, like I said. Sid came in second place in the Word Cup in Chicagoland, winning, I think, $5,000. And at the SPC, Scrabble Players Championship, he just got into, I think he was 9th place, but he got the 8th place prize because person in 8th place got a higher class prize. So if you get a higher prize than your placement prize, they give you that prize and give the placement prize to the next person in line. Anyways, all that being said, done rambling. That was the tournament. Next in line, I'm going to bring you Word Cup games. I don't know if I'm going to bring all of them to you, all 31 of them, but maybe I will. Maybe I will. And maybe we'll get some dual commentaries in there as well. And maybe I'll have to do some analyses on stream rather than by my lonesome in front of this camera. But all that being said, thanks for watching the series, and I'll catch you guys next time.